Dropping gems from Keisha Christian. She's on a mission, sharing information, knowledge for soul, body and mind. Dropping gems, KeishaGems.com. KeishaGems.com.
Welcome to episode 7 of Just Dropping Gems podcast. My name is Keisha Christian, holistic lifestyle coach, author, and owner of Keisha's Gems LLC. This episode is sponsored by Pure Romance by Venice. Venice Richards, your pure romance consultant, inspires women to enhance their intimate lives and take care of their sexual health. Book your party with her today. Info in the show notes or description box below. My co-host on this episode entitled The Power of Forgiveness for Emotional and Spiritual Healing, Part 2 series is mental health practitioner Feona Charles Richards. She is a clinical psychology doctoral candidate and mental health practitioner from Antigua and Barbuda, West Indies. Welcome back to the show, Feona.
Hi, Keisha. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, so on our last episode, we actually talked about how to experience emotional healing. And we briefly talked about a technique called, can you say the word, Feona?
Ho'oponopono.
Say it again.
Ho'oponopono.
I love you. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Thank you. And we went into great depth about this practice. And this is actually a practice that Feona uses when she does her counseling and when she has her sessions. And we talked about other techniques as well. So be sure to check out that episode on emotional healing if you have it. All right. So today on this episode, we're going to be talking about ways in which one can experience spiritual or mental healing. So there are different techniques or exercises that can be used to assist with anxiety. I know me as a person who actually lives with anxiety. There are certain techniques that I use when I notice a response in my body, or when I know an anxiety attack is about to come on. There are certain things that I do. And my cousin Feona also has discussed with me a breathing technique that she uses as well. She's actually used this technique on me as well, which has really helped. And it's also very similar to what we do in yoga. So if you want to learn more about it, continue to listen to the conversation. All right, so Feona, I'm so interested in knowing what are some of the things you do in your practice when it comes to when you're dealing with your clients who experience anxiety?
Okay, so in terms of now, when we think about anxiety, there are various types of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the type of anxiety that the person is dealing with.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, the person may just have general anxiety about things or may have particular phobias. What we would do first is that we have to find a way to get the person to be calm and to focus on something different.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I do in terms of just to distract the thoughts as well for a bit is diaphragmatic breathing. So diaphragmatic breathing is a 4-3-5 technique of breathing where you extend when you inhale, you are breathing into the stomach. So the stomach is actually expanding when you inhale. Now, a lot of times when persons are significantly stressed, and I mean, life can be very stressful, you find that you sometimes forget how to breathe properly.
Exactly.
So you're actually breathing from your chest as opposed to breathing from your diaphragm, where it's the place you're supposed to really breathe from. But life gets in the way, things happen, and we adopt this way of coping, but it's not necessarily the best way of breathing. And when we're not breathing from our diaphragms, what also happens is that the brain is not getting the oxygen it needs in terms of carrying around the various neurotransmitters to balance out all those chemicals that you need to remain calm in that time.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're doing the diaphragmatic breathing, what is happening is that you're allowing your body to do something that it was really meant to do, but may have forgotten to do because it has been significantly stressed for a very long period of time, or has been wound up with anxiety for a very long period of time. So diaphragmatic breathing is an inhalation into the diaphragm where you see the diaphragm actually expands. You do that, you are intaking the breath for 5 seconds and you're counting in your mind 5, very slowly. And then you're holding the breath for 3 seconds. And again, you're counting in your mind. And when you exhale, the diaphragm is to go down and you're breathing out through the mouth. So one of the things that people ask me when we do it for any extended period of time, like for even just 5 minutes, they go, I'm feeling a bit high. Am I supposed to feel like they go, am I supposed to be feeling like this? So you find even persons who may have a nicotine addiction, who usually uses nicotine in terms of smoking or coffee, they go, hold on, I don't need my cigarette today then.
Yes, exactly.
Because they have found that there's this particular feeling that they would get from the nicotine that they're getting through this actual breathing process that the body has forgotten to do naturally, because we're so busy with our day-to-day activities. We're so busy with our stressful lifestyles and work. We're so busy with our families. As I said, life gets in the way, and so we forget the proper way of breathing. But when I find that persons who have significant anxiety with it because it was trauma related, whether it because it's a phobia, whether it because it's general anxiety because they have varying challenges or can't handle them. Like school students, of course, they have those issues as well. So I find one of the first thing that I normally do is teach people how to breathe again, the proper way. Through this technique. And so you find very often that once person are able to do that, they regain a sense of calm. Now there has to be some consistency as well when you're doing this technique. So it's something that I ask my clients to do first thing in the morning for 10 minutes and last thing at the end of the day for 10 minutes as well. Depending on how severe the anxiety is, I may go up to half an hour.
This, when you first mentioned this to me, this sounded very similar to a yoga practice, actually called Breath of Fire, where when you do it regularly, it helps to cleanse the lungs and the diaphragm.
Okay.
So this is like, when you said that, it's just like, oh, I know that from yoga. And it also is good for getting more oxygen to the brain. As you were telling me, when you are experiencing certain types of anxiety, your brain is, in a sense, is losing oxygen. Right? So, and then your mind is like all over the place, and it just spirals from there. So doing this practice does help. And I have to attest to this because I've actually done breaths of fire. I've done like up to 1,000 of them. And by the time I was done, I did feel high. And I was like, you know what? People don't even need to smoke marijuana if they know how to do this. If they want to get a natural high without using drugs or another type of substance, they could do this same practice. And I actually am going to have links in the show notes if anybody is interested about learning more of diaphragmatic breathing or breaths of fire. Also, with breaths of fire, so this exercise too, excuse me, it gets the blood circulating through the body fast and in an effective manner. So that's really good. And it helps to get rid of toxins and other built up substances. And when we talk about built up substances, it is that stress you're holding on to, right? What it does to the body, what it leaves in, I would say, in your muscles, because it goes really deep in the body. So by doing this practice, it really helps. It also helps with relieving pain. And some people who have chronic pain. So it helps with improving circulation. So this practice is not just, it's beyond anxiety, but it's also good for these things as well. It helps to strengthen your abdomen, because you did mention something about extending the abdomen and bringing it back in. The more frequently you do that, you are working the muscles around your abdomen. So that is quite it's quite good for those of us who are looking to, flatten our tummies.
And not only that, and it's interesting you said that, because when you're doing this exercise, you're supposed to actually be seated straight up in your chair. Your feet are supposed to be flat on the floor. So I think it's also forcing you to remember how you're supposed to sit.
Exactly.
So the whole idea of aligning the body and keeping a particular structure, as opposed to slumping and that kind of stuff. So I think it also brings that whole idea of awareness to your back alignment, how it's supposed to look, how it's supposed to feel, and allowing yourself to get into that position as well. Especially, and this is something you can do anywhere. You can do this at work. You can do this in your car. You can do this. If you don't want to sit up straight, you can actually do it lying down. But it's just that whole idea of being aware as to how you're breathing and how you're taking your breaths, so that the brain can get the essential oxygen that it needs to take through the varying neurotransmitters that, of course, make you feel happy, make you feel high.
Yeah. And I did actually feel really good afterwards, after doing all that breathing. And one thing I know too, it helped to if you have you might have some, if someone has minor sinus issues, it does help with clearing out your sinus passage, because you're doing this, you're actually bringing more I should say air into your lungs. So it does help with the sinuses. So even beyond that, this is a great way for healing yourself spiritually, mentally. It helps to refocus your brain, and it's just a great exercise. You just feel so what's the word I'm looking for? You feel energized afterwards.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. So I was so happy to learn this technique. And even when you did it with me, time I was very anxious. I forgot, because sometimes you forget when you're going through anxiety. I forgot. And then when you started doing with me, I was like, yes, I need to breathe. Now calm down,
Yeah.
So
I guess, because when your body is really in a state of anxiety, the real thing is that you want a way out, and you're not seeing because when you're anxious, you're not seeing the immediate solutions, because you're not calm. And this is also good for persons who are doing exams, who know that they have a particular type of anxiety before the exams, because when you're anxious, it also affects your memory.
Yes.
So if you're that anxious, the possibility of you remembering everything that you've learned or studied is going to be less, because again, the brain isn't getting the oxygen that it requires to do all these things. And so it is very important for persons who may feel a bit anxious before the exams to practice such a technique, because it is very helpful in allowing yourself to become calm and being able to focus and recalling information that you need during your exams.
Yes, definitely. So this is something I definitely suggest the people look into and make a part of their lifestyle to help improve their lifestyle. It's been such a benefit to me. And I know with me, I'm not suggesting anyone do this, but this is something that I do as well. When I do my breath of fire, I actually will take a drop of peppermint oil, and I'll put it under my tongue. Essential oil, just 1 drop of essential peppermint oil under my tongue. Drink some water. Sit up, like you said. So sit up with a straight back. Feet flat on the floor, legs at a 90-degree angle, and then I'll start doing my breaths, and that really just helps to open me up and open up my my sinuses and just open me up. And the peppermint oil helps to just especially in the morning to just wake me up. So it's like it's better than a cup of coffee. I don't drink coffee, but but I just feel really invigorated after doing it.
And a big fad that is happening lately as well is the air diffusers, because you can even drop the essential oils in their diffusers, and they will, you can, have that steam coming out continuously for at least 2 hours throughout the day. So for persons who even know that they have, continued anxiety, peppermint, as you said, peppermint oil is really good, even to use within the diffusers.
Yes, it is. Yeah, so you could actually use the peppermint oil in the diffusers or any other essential oil like orange, I'm thinking, or even lemon. Those are very invigorating scents. And if you're experiencing anxiety or even mild depression, that does help with mood as well. So this is great. Another technique that I also use, I don't know if you heard about this, Fiona, something that you could probably even incorporate in your practice if you heard of it, is called EFT. EFT is the emotional freedom techniques, and it's actually tapping. So where you're tapping on certain points on your body, namely in the middle of your forehead, your chest, under the collarbone, under your nose, under your mouth, and another thing is, yes, under your eyes, around your eyebrows, your eyebrow point. So there are different places on the top of your head. And when you actually do this and you are experiencing anxiety, it helps to refocus the brain. And I've used this technique as well. I know sometimes when I'm on the train, for some reason, anxiety will come over me. Actually, this hasn't happened in a while, but when it has happened, I've used this technique and it's helped to really refocus me. And also something that I do say when I am doing, after I've done the tapping and I've taken 3 deep breaths, I say, all is well with me. I am blessed. I am loved. All is well with me. So that's another thing I would do, along with the emotional freedom technique. And if anyone wants to learn more about the emotional freedom technique, this will also be in the show notes as well. I'll leave links to it so you could get more information about it. But it's a great technique to use, especially if you're dealing with anxiety.
Awesome. I like the affirmation you use. What I normally do with the clients after I would have taught them the breathing technique is the thought stopping technique of restructuring the thought. So even though they would have had a negative thought, now we're going to replace it with something positive. So I like the fact that you use the affirmations, because for some persons, when they're anxious, they can't come up with any. And so, it's very essential for you to calm them down and to help them to develop having new thoughts when they have had negative thoughts for a very long period of time within their lives.
Yeah, this is something that needs to be taught. So, actually going to therapy does help. It helps with giving you a different perspective, because a lot of times we're looking at things from our point of view. And sometimes we need that outside person to give us another point of view, another outlook. And having people like you, a mental health practitioner, soon to be clinical psychologist. It's great to learn these techniques just to cope with life, because as you mentioned earlier, life is very stressful. And even navigating through this journey can be quite a chore. So by learning these different techniques, it really helps with healing yourself. Well, I like to say spiritually or mentally, because it gives you another outlook. It gives you another viewpoint. And I just want everyone to live their best life and have the best quality of life. That's all I'm looking and asking for.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, because all this is part of self-care.
Exactly.
I think too often I think even that in itself sometimes create anxiety for many persons, wanting to this whole idea of pleasing everybody, taking care of everybody, but forgetting that in order for you to take care of everybody and meet everybody else's need, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
And so we have to really fill up our cups first and then pour from the overflow. But I find too often that, sometimes we end up so focused on taking care of everybody that we forget ourselves in the midst. And that in itself, as I said, can create some anxiety for persons. And so we have to also prioritize what is important to us or ourselves and our self-care before we can really prioritize everybody else. And so that is something that that I would encourage people to do, because it's rather important that we understand the whole idea of dealing with the I first before dealing with the we and the us and the them. Yeah,
most definitely. So Fiona, this has been such a great conversation. Do you have any closing remarks?
My closing remarks would be always to seek help. I cannot stress that enough. I know that the stigma for seeking help is very high, in that, when we see that we are having a struggle or we are not coping with something the way we should, some persons may label that as being weak. But the weakness exists in not seeking the help. The weakness exists in not recognizing our limitations and not allowing ourselves to find the correct tools that we need to live that life that we were meant to have, as you said. And so it's very important that, persons, when you're having challenges, seek help. Find your nearest, my cousin here is a life coach, and I'm sure that she'll be able to help you with some tips as it relates to, dealing with some of those issues. And of course, go to counseling, seek therapy. And so it's very important to figure out what tools you are going to need and be willing to step out of their status quo and go after living the best life you can have. Because if you don't take care of you, your family will crumble, your job life will crumble, and you will not feel as if you are enjoying the life you are meant to have. So my whole idea is to always seek help and step out of the box. Don't let anybody put you in any boxes and thinking that you're weak, because there's strength in seeking help.
Yeah, there is. And I know, like you mentioned, there's such a stigma on seeking counseling. As I believe I mentioned in the previous episode, especially in the African American and the Caribbean community. But we know we need to change that. It's all right to ask for help. It's all right to say, I'm not okay, today, instead of trying to put on a persona as being strong. Or as a quote unquote strong Black woman. It's okay to say, I'm not right today. I need help, and to seek it, because as I go through this journey and I'm helping people to heal, I need to take care of myself, because if I don't do that, I cannot be the best I can as a holistic lifestyle coach for others. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and have a blessed one. Thank you, Fiona, for coming on this episode. That was a great conversation. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Peace and blessings to you.
Blessings.
This episode is sponsored by #Pure Romance by Venice. Venice Richards, your pure romance consultant, inspires women to enhance their intimate lives and take care of their sexual health. Book your party today. Info in the show notes or description box below. It is also sponsored by Keisha's Gems and Dropping Gems Publishing. Be sure to visit our website, where we offer holistic solutions with the soul in mind. And check out my new books, Healthy Gems, nourishing practices and self-care tips for busy individuals, and Holistic Gems, how to treat seasonal and year-long allergies naturally. Available on Amazon or purchase an autographed copy on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.droppinggems.com. That's www.droppinggemz.com. If you are interested in being a sponsor or advertising on this podcast, you can contact us at www.keishagems.com. That's www.keishagems.com. Or email us at keishagems@gmail.com. Much abundance to you. Peace and blessings.